Hello, hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you very much for joining us today at the True Awesome Network for the amazing, the fabulous, the wonderful Tuesday Creator Talks. I am here today with two most amazing people. We have Miss Heather Workman and we have Miss Maxx Angenetta Jones. She
Yay.
is,
And the crowd goes wild.
and the crowd
Welcome, welcome.
does go wild. So, um, you guys all know me. I'm the Freedom Jedi. You can check everything out at trueawesomelife.com. Why don't you guys introduce yourself? Let's start with our guest, Miss Maxx.
Well, my name is Maxx Angenetta Jones, of course. I am a relationship coach and therapist, hypnotherapist, and NLP master coach. And I am the owner of Life Coaching Today digital magazine and 3 podcasts. Yay.
She is
Yay.
she is the one that runs the other half of True Awesome Network. So, well, half the shows on here are ran by Max. So it's amazing. And Miss Heather, introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm a shaman, spiritual advisor. I help people to deal with their trauma and release the energetic attachments using energy work.
Nice.
And I read some oracle cards once in a while.
Once in a while. Every once in a while. Oh my god, I can't wait for tonight's. Oh, um, I this week has been full of ups and downs, and today is a truly up day, guys. So if I'm all over the place, just know it's for good reason. Everything is great. I will announce things later. I can't announce things yet, but
I know
I
we have so much going on.
I know. And there is a big announcement, so stay very much to the end. The very end, there will be a big, huge announcement, and you guys aren't gonna believe it. So, whew, I boundaries. Now, I could tell you that when I think boundaries, the first person that comes to mind is Max. Max is an amazing relationship coach and really has a really interesting way to think about boundaries. So, I mean, like, really, truly, she's the boundary queen. She's good at it.
Nice.
Um, and what is the true essence of boundaries? What do you think is the true essence of boundaries, and why are they fundamental to our well-being?
I'm going to say it separates, it puts you in a place where you're not doing things you don't want to do. Okay. When you stand on your boundaries, you're standing on your business. And a lot of times, so, how you do anything is how you do everything. Okay. So, relationship, work, etc., etc. Boundaries are rules. They say, I'm not, this is not, I'm not going to do this. And I don't like this. It doesn't mean that anything has to be wrong. You don't have to be upset or anything. It just means that you stand on them. And a lot of times in relationships, and it could be more men than women, but I find that women don't have boundaries. We start off strong by saying, I'm not interested in a man who does these things, but we will take a man with no job. We will take a man who disrespects us because we have no boundaries. And it may be because a lot of people don't know what a boundary is. A boundary is a line in the sand. Okay? It's a big line in the sand that says no, no. But a lot of times we don't set boundaries because I don't want to be by myself. And I'd rather have you treat me badly than to be alone. That's why we don't accept boundaries. And people can say, and they don't even have to say it. They push us in a direction that we don't want to be in. Okay? And that's bad. So a boundary is to keep you safe, is to protect you, is to keep you well. And they are great to use. And we have to be comfortable with saying no, no.
Oh, I got that. Heather, why don't you do that? I just realized I had to turn off my propane because I was and my furnace just popped on and it's going to do all kinds of things and not want to start for me again. So let me turn that off while you're speaking. I am right here. I can hear you. I promise.
Oh, boundaries, the essence of boundaries. Setting personal limits of what you will accept and what you won't accept, and sticking to them. When we
You
set boundaries, we think that we worry about what are people going to think? Are they going to be upset with me?
right.
Am I letting them down? Right. But really, it comes down to self respect and respecting yourself, your time, who you are as a being, and showing other people how to treat you. Right. If you don't have any boundaries, then that's where people go, well, I just feel like I'm walked all over. Well, of course you do, because you're not setting a boundary of this is okay, this is not okay. And as far as relationship goes, that goes with any kind of relationship, friendship, intimate relationship, any of those things, boundaries with your children. The word relationship, we're talking like across the board in any relationship,
True.
right? Any type of relationship.
Definitely.
And it's for your own well-being, like your personal boundaries, that helps with your well-being and your own inner peace. I just set huge boundaries recently with my roommate who's sick, and going through some treatments and stuff, and I just set the boundary. These are the things that these are the appointments I will go to you with. This is, so that it doesn't take away with what I'm doing. And I have such strong boundaries as far as intimate relationships go that my friends think I'm super picky. And at the end of the day, I would rather have those boundaries and be with someone I truly want to be with, because I like me some me and I don't mind being alone. I'm not alone. I have such incredible, amazing people around me all the time. I'm never alone, but I would rather be single than to cross the lines of what are, I like to call them deal breakers.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we experience boundaries most in relationships, mostly in personal
Yeah.
relationships, not so much at work because work is work. You either do it or you get another job, so to speak, for people who have to work every day for somebody else. But I think that we fail ourselves in when it comes to personal relationships with boundaries. We don't um, want to lose that person even when they're acting out. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Jeff, what does it look like for you?
I just set huge boundaries at work. So it's kind of funny. Like
I know, I
literally,
was so proud of you about that.
oh my goodness, I was being. We had a huge launch. I mean, it was big, and there was a lot that went on, and it was a lot of stuff all at once, and it was an extreme case of just of everything. Um, and so what ended up happening is that I was working 12, 13-hour days when I should be working like 2 to 3. Like really, my job requires me to work 2 or 3 hours. I'm a very highly skilled person, so it shouldn't take me that much. And yeah. So I'm working 12, 13-hour days. They were changing copy on me 3 or 4 times a day. Um, things not getting to me until late night. It just got, I was
Out of
at my birthday party and had my computer because I had to do something because we were launching something the next day. And I had to be online. You know what I mean? And we pushed it off a week because I was in the middle of the chaos. So I went
ugh,
in, I wrote up some boundaries and I said, hey, this is what I need, lead time. Like I'm not, there's exceptions to every rule. There's gonna be things that happen. Like right now I'm waiting for something that needs to go out tomorrow, but I know I'm waiting for it. I know I have it. It'll be here. I scheduled everything out that went out the last couple days. We're like an email short. So I mean, I know it's happening. I'm ready for it. You know what I mean? I'll right after I get off
But how did
here.
it feel to set those boundaries with them, right? To be able
Oh,
to because it's like you had to stand up for yourself. I mean,
oh,
because there's a point where, like they take advantage of the fact, they take advantage of how quickly you can get things done. So they thought it
Yeah,
wasn't a big deal to change copy the night before and say,
right.
well,
And,
wait a
and one
minute,
of the things, is that really when I'm here, I'm by myself with the dogs and in my laptop a lot. So I don't have the family commitments and the other things. I don't have a ton of commitments, and for it, especially when I was out in the cornfield, it's not quite cornfield anymore, but what I call the cornfield. Um, uh, it's I'm really by myself. I'm out in the middle of kind of nowhere, so I
but
didn't
that
have
doesn't make your time
right
any less valuable.
exactly, and I had to remember that to myself,
Yeah.
right? And I think that we do that in personal relationships too. You have this thing, and of Mark came to mind as soon as I said things. You know, um, both of them know about Mark. So Mark and I were dating it ish. I was definitely the rebound boy. Um, I knew I was a rebound boy from the get go. As a matter of fact, I saw his ex on Thursday, and he sat there and gave me dirty looks across the room the whole time. Um,
Oh, cool.
yeah, it was bad. Um, and I have something to say there, but I'm not going to say that out loud on camera. Um, so yeah, knowing that was, I had to like literally say, look, I don't want to see you anymore because you're not holding up your end of the bargain of anything. And if I have to call you the day of to find out that we're not going to do something that we have planned, that just doesn't work for me. You just have to be in community. I wasn't even mad that weren't doing it so much as I was mad that he didn't call me and say, "Hey, I'm not feeling good. Hey, I went to the doctor's earlier." It was completely on the fact that it wasn't the circumstances or anything. It was just that he didn't communicate with me, and I need that communication. Just tell me,
Yeah.
"Hey, we're not going to do that," so I can make plans. I would maybe done something else, and then
So how do
involve.
we learn to set those boundaries? How can we delve into our inner compass to identify our core needs and values, which serve as a foundation for establishing healthy boundaries?
Well, I think that it's really simple. Okay, when we accept people in our life who are acting up, they don't belong there. Let them go. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And people will say, "Oh, it's trauma." It's like if we don't want to see the red flags because we like you and we want to make things different, let them go. And my brother, I have a brother,
My future ex-husband.
Luther, and we call him the grown ass black man. My brother says that I am hard, and I'm not. You know, the moment you step out of it, I'm not going to ask you where we're going because we are where we are. Okay. And if we're not going in a direction where I'm not happy, we're nowhere. We just aren't. If you can't return my calls, if there's no consistency, where are we? We're nowhere. That's a boundary right there. I just don't care. I don't care. And I give my friends exceptions because my friends have days. I give them exceptions, but for a partner that I'm with that I'm intimate, no, you got to go. And a couple of weeks ago on my Facebook page, there was this huge thing because I simply wrote, "Why do women stay in toxic relationships?" And it is because you don't love yourself. And people say, "Well, it's more than that." It's not. We don't
No.
understand English. So I'm going to break it down because I'm always ready for the smoke. If you loved yourself, you would not accept bullshit. You would not.
Yeah.
And you know the difference. If I said to you, swallow this poison, you would say no.
Right. Right.
You
Yeah.
don't return my calls. If you say, "Oh, I forgot," you don't care about me, and I need to leave, and whatever that is, and I don't give a if you like it or not. Bye. No, because I wouldn't do that. It's like I can apologize, and Jeff knows we've had some fights. Okay, I can apologize. I can say sorry. Okay, but no. So I'm
Yeah.
not gonna take any shit from a dude. But my friends, let me just say this, and I know that I'm spoiled, okay? My friends, if I say, "Can you do my show for me? Can you do this for me?" They're like, "Okay," because I know that I'm a good, great person. If I have it, you have it. So then I'm gonna
Right.
have some little person come in my life and act up. No, a boundary is you have to go. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, definitely
Highly
is.
same.
And that's how you fix it right there.
That's how
You
you
don't
fix
have to
it.
worry about
Yeah,
treating
yeah, you have to. So, um, yeah, I think one of the ways to start doing that is before you agree to something, before you say yes to something, stop and say, "Is this something I really want to do?"
Yeah.
and that makes you
And give yourself permission to say no. If it is not something that you truly want to do and you're doing it out of guilt or you're doing it you know, and usually it's out of guilt, right? If you're doing something you don't want to do, you feel obligated to do so, maybe not guilt, but obligated, and or feel guilty if you say no. The answer is you're allowed to say no.
you
It
are
says
allowed
because
to
you're my
do that.
family and you're working on my shit. Okay, so we don't have to put that caveat in. You're not allowed. No, just tell me.
I mean, you are allowed to say no. No doesn't even need my friend Greta always says no doesn't need an explanation. It's just no.
Right now is a complete
However,
sentence. Yeah.
feeling guilty. Let's talk about feeling guilty. Okay? Most of the time if you feel guilty about something, you need to sit with that because you might need to do it. Okay? Because some of us feel guilty about some bullshit you know you should have did. Okay? It's like in front of people's face, we are a certain way. When we're on our own devices, sometimes we don't walk our talk, and that's where guilt comes in. Guilt is that inner conversation you have with yourself where you know you need to do something. So guilt is
Yeah, but then
your mind.
but people will feel guilty to say no to something purely out of their own doubt of worthiness. So sometimes that guilt is not because they should have done something that they didn't need to do. Sometimes it's the idea of someone being upset with them and no, I feel guilty that I say no. And guilt might not be the right word that they're using, but that's
It's
the
not.
terminology 9 times out of 10 that they say is
You
I
like
would just
I
feel
said,
guilty if I didn't do that, or that's my sister, and so I just feel that,
I like I said,
whatever.
you know, it was Dr. Stephanie calling me. I'm on
Of
live,
course.
but call me back. I'm going to say this. I think that it's the word, the terminology is definitely wrong. So I'm going to call bullshit on the guilt thing as far as boundaries go, because that I feel guilty. It's like if your sister says, "Can you take me to the doctor?" You can say no, but should you?
Right.
But
If Jeff
okay,
calls me and says, "I need money for food and I have it," I can say no, but should I?
but
Okay.
but it all depends on how much they have. So I've been dealing with a lot of sick people in my life in the last mm, a lot of years, right? And sometimes you have for your own sanity in 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 life, you have
Oh,
to be able to say, look, I I am not taking you to every doctor's appointment. No, I will go to this one. Or no, we need to find you a caregiver. I can't do this anymore.
Now, see
Because
that's fine because you're finding another alternative.
Right.
that
I mean,
make it
it's not.
different.
I mean, obviously, if anyone needed a ride to the doctors, and like I have dropped everything, I pick up my niece almost every day that I've been. Every time I'm in town, I'm picking up my niece because she gets off of school 2.5 hours before my brother gets home from work. So, and she goes to my sister's house. She's perfectly fine and safe and wonderful. It's not like my my niece is 17 years old. So let's be clear, this is not like she's being neglected in any way, but she hates sitting at my sister's house. You know what I mean? It's not her house. She wants to come home. She went to school in the morning. They have to be at school at like 6 something in the morning now. And she just wants to come home, and I totally get that. So I go and pick her up. If
And
I
see, that I understand
possibly.
because you're putting yourself in her position, and you're
Right.
like,
And there's been a couple times I haven't been able to. And then today we couldn't find the key, and I've looked all over the place. I left it in the car. Um, it was my fault. I left it there. But so really, in all reality, if there's any way possible I can do these things for her, I do. Now, could I say no? Yeah. If I said no because I had a call or something right then? Yeah, I said I could do it later, and she ended up getting a ride home for my sister because my sister showed up before I did. No big deal. You know what I mean? You just have to work that out. But the boundary would be, um, where have I set a boundary here?
I don't know with your niece if there is a boundary to set, but okay.
My No, with my brother and my other niece. You know,
Is
him.
this your brother that
Yeah,
found
there's a difference when they're
online?
taking advantage of you being there and not taking responsibility for what needs to be taken responsibility for,
Right.
and having to set a boundary and say, guess what?
Yeah.
This is not
And
my
for both
responsibility. This is not, and but again, that goes back to, is it putting a strain on your job? Is it putting a strain, if saying yes to something is taking away from something else that is, your business,
yeah.
all of us as business owners, you know what I mean? Like, so there are times like I have a hard time setting boundaries, which is why my phone goes on do not disturb throughout the day because I'm horrible about setting the boundary of this is the time that I am working. This is like my productive time. And unless you have a scheduled reading with me, I'm not talking to you every day for 2 hours. You know what I mean?
Right. Typically, when
I
I
know
know
it's
she's
not just you, Jeff. It's oh,
no, I know. I know it's not just me. I
Obviously,
know that you do it.
the best way for that is when people call you and they know they need an appointment, would be to say, would you like to set an appointment?
right.
Because
Yeah.
let me knock on wood. I never have to put my phone on do not disturb because if I'm asleep or watching TV, and if you're not on the A list, I'm not going to answer anyway. However, for clients, it's you're on my radar. I believe you need an appointment. I will text you that. Okay.
Right.
Hmm.
And then they'll be quiet. If you want people to leave you alone, you're on my radar. I believe you need an appointment. When can we get together this week? They'll stop calling you.
Yeah. Saying
Saying
no is
saying no has triggered abandoned emotions and people I have loved. I mean, I would definitely need more. I don't know how to respond to that because
What was the question?
saying no has triggered abandoned emotions in people I have loved.
What she's saying is, remember I said earlier that people don't want to let people go because they
Yeah,
don't
that's a reflection of what they
right.
need to work on.
What she's saying is it triggers abandonment issues because when
yeah.
people get into relationships or start relationships, they feel like I don't want this person to leave me, which is the wrong attitude, period. Because
Right.
that person may not be for you. So setting boundaries allows you not to be with someone that is going to hurt you or emotionally cripple you. And a lot of people don't want to be abandoned. So they just let things go, 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 go. So
But if you're setting a boundary with someone and it triggers them, that is something they need to work on.
it is true.
That's not because that's really what she's saying, right? Saying no has triggered abandonment emotions in people I have loved, meaning that when she says no, it triggers them. But that's not yours to carry. That's theirs to carry. That's not, I mean, sometimes, that is still
Well, that's
your,
when guilt jumps in, like you were saying earlier. That's when guilt jumps in. She feels guilty.
yeah,
She's triggering their abandonment issues. But in a way, she's doing a good thing because when you trigger somebody's abandonment issues, it reminds them to work on it because I have a
yeah,
sore. And thank you for touching me and letting me know that this sore is still here. A client of mine, her boyfriend says to her, she gets her stuff delivered to her house, Instacart. And when they got back together, he turned the Instacart off. And he said, "Well, I want you to go to the market for me or with me. That's the only way I know you love me."
No.
So for me, that's a bullshit.
yeah.
Yeah.
For
Hi,
me,
No.
that's
Katana. How are you, love?
to go yourself. Not doing it.
Katana is
Yeah.
Tina's bonus daughter.
Oh, hey, Katana. I know Tina.
Yeah.
Your mom's awesome.
Yeah,
So,
she is.
yeah, I think that, it's hard to set boundaries, and it's hard if they're really close to you too.
Yeah,
One of the things that I've had to do is really let your the problem becomes that by not saying those boundaries, sometimes you're not giving the other people power to make choices and to solve problems.
yeah,
And so I've had to literally tell people very close to me, that's not my problem. You're
yeah,
not following others' orders is not my problem anymore. And I can't, and I, that's not my choice. That's not, I'm not trying to be mean about it, but, you're an adult at this point and you know the
yeah,
consequences. My dad has a feeding tube and he's not supposed to eat orally at all. He can asphyxiate, and has for over a year now. But every so often he wants something, and my dad's in an extreme case. He doctors don't understand why he's still alive. He's a miracle in every way, shape, form, or fashion. My dad is a tank. I love him dearly. And so the other night I had a pizza roll and dad smelled it, and obviously it smelled good to him. And he said, I want some of that. And of course I said, okay. And I went in and cut him a piece of pizza, of the pizza roll. That he ate a bite of, you know what I mean? Like I gave him a little sliver, just enough to get some pepperoni and of the pizza roll. And he gave most of it to the dog. I know he did. You know what I mean? But he's an adult. He gets to make those decisions. He still smokes. He has lung cancer. The fact that he still smokes with oxygen and the whole fucking rigmarole, I could go crazy, right?
I could tell
But
stories.
right, but what do we say at that point? He is
Yeah,
definitely
it's your choice. You always have a choice. You always have a choice. I've set boundaries with people and then they didn't like that I set boundaries, and now we don't talk anymore, and I'm okay with that. And I found that when I set those boundaries with them, um, and they exited because we're vibing differently and on a different, like just everything. Um, and I have no guilt about setting those boundaries, by the way. Yeah, I got over that a long time ago. Other people's opinions of me are none of my business, and if it's not affecting, like, yeah, if you're not feeding me, financing me, or the other big F word, then your opinion goes about this far. Like, because, I will listen to you, but I'm probably going to do the opposite, just for the record.
almost
You know
always.
nothing about that, Jeff.
I have no clue whatsoever about that comment.
But I found that my life was less stressful when I set those boundaries.
Yeah.
Right, because I have very clear boundaries. This is what I will accept. This is what I will not accept in my life, and much happier person about it. And now I have no problem saying no. No is a complete sentence, and I don't have to give you an explanation. And if you would like one, I'm going to be honest about why. I don't want to. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just I don't want to, you know, and that's okay. I don't have to give anything more than that. I don't have to say I don't feel good or I'm too tired or any of those things. Just no, I don't
Or you
want
have a
to.
headache.
Huh?
Or you have a headache.
Or I have a headache.
Yeah.
But I had to learn to do that too because I do have a chronic illness. And, you know, I used to push and push and push myself until I was so sick that I couldn't do anything at all. And I had to, yeah, say, no, I'm just not doing that today. I don't have the spoons. I don't have the capacity to do that.
I had to look
I'm
up
out of spoon.
where that came from.
The spoon.
So I could tell you where it came from. There was a girl who had lupus. She was like 16 or 17 is the story. And she was in a restaurant with her friend and she was trying to describe what uh, having a chronic illness and trying to figure out what you do what you're capable of doing, what your energy level is doing. And so she looked around and she gathered up all the spoons that were on the tables around them and she handed them to her friend and she said, imagine this is all the energy you have for the day, right? So you wake up every day and you determine how many spoons you have. And some days you have more spoons and some days you have less spoons. And so on a day that you don't have very many spoons, taking a shower might take 2 of those spoons. Well, if I have to do something later in the day, I might not be able to afford those spoons in the morning. So then you start to determine what you actually can do throughout the day, depending on how many spoons. And when you run out of spoons, you're out of spoons, right? So every day you wake up and you go, okay, you evaluate every day how you feel and what your energy level is and how many spoons it's going to cost you. How many are you starting with for the day? And how many spoons, is it going to take you to do each thing that you need to do? And then you reevaluate what you have to do. And let me promise you that even setting a limit with yourself, so boundaries go within yourself as well, right? Of saying, like, I don't have anything left in me to do this today. And yes, can you push a little bit? Yeah, but I learned to not push too much farther when I'm out of spoons because what's going to happen is the next day I'm going to have less spoons
You start with
if
less
I do
spoons.
that because I'm borrowing from the next day.
Yeah, I think that
And I remind myself because I have a spoon tattoo. I have a big purple ribbon and a spoon tattoo that goes all the way down my left thigh. It's like,
wow.
yeah, it goes all the way down my thigh. And it just reminds me that, like, to have a boundary, to have a limit.
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense.
Yeah.
It does. It
You know,
does. It does.
I think that kind of goes along with the effective strategies and techniques to communicate them. With my job, I literally wrote them out and said, "Hey, this is what I need," and said, "This is the lead time I need. This is what so I can schedule things in." And then I got some pushback, and I said, "This is what I need," and then I got some pushback again, and he said, "Well, then I might have to find someone else to do some things sometimes." And I said, "Okay." Like I'm okay with that. Like if that's I'm not asking for something that's unreasonable at this point. And there's gonna be an emergencies, and there's not like I understand that it's
Right.
never gonna be perfect, but if we consistently go at those levels, then I can consistently plan my life around it.
Well, and then you get to troubleshoot when because everything can't be an emergency. And that's what happened last
Right.
time, right? So the idea
Yeah.
is that the whole time was every single time they messaged you, it was an emergency. I need this fixed right now. I need this done right now. Well,
Right.
and yeah, setting those boundaries is, well, I can only
I can't.
do so much, right? You can only
Right.
handle so much.
And I finally told one of the people off. And then we all know I have an alter ego. His name's Alex. He's the tech support guy. So he's the one I have to fight to begin with anytime I deal with tech. Like,
Yeah.
I have to remember that I am not Alex. I am Jeff. And Jeff is loving and caring and an instrument of peace. Alex is none of those things. Alex is like, F you. Don't you know there's a big red button on the screen? Push the red button. Like, that's his. Did you turn? He's tech support. Did you restart your computer? Is it plugged in?
Did you shut it off and turn it back on? Or?
Right. That's the level that that's Alex's levels. Like, let's start
Right.
here. And a lot of times when it comes to this stuff I do, that is I'm trying to troubleshoot in my head. Okay, what can this be? Okay, did
Right.
and almost everything that we've had that's broken has been a human error. Has been a human error somewhere. There's an exception with an email that went out yesterday. One email out of 30.
I'm always okay. I'm always okay. So I'm going to set a boundary. I'm
Yeah.
hungry and I need to leave you.
You're going to go have your carrot soup.
I'm going to have my carrot soup.
Max
But
made
I made it from scratch.
homemade carrot soup today. And it
Carrot
sounds really
soup. That sounds yummy. I made sausage potato soup.
everyone made soup today. I stopped at the Arabic restaurant because I'm not going to have good Arabic food ever again.
When you leave.
I leave Thursday, and I live just outside of Dearborn right now. As a matter of fact, the fire department is Dearborn here, so I'm not going to have the same kind of Arabic food ever again. So I wanted to do Arabic.
I have to look up the restaurants in Nashville to see.
We're not going to be able to get out. We're staying at Max is going to be with me not this coming up weekend, the following weekend at the Movement Maker Live. Oh my God. It's going to be a phenomenal event at the Gaylord.
Restaurants in the
Yeah, in the Gaylord. We're not leaving we're going to be in that hotel the whole time.
I wouldn't either because outside the Gaylord the crime rate is
it's not that bad. You're in the middle of town basically. So yeah,
I've read
right downtown. So that's awesome. What else do you have going on for you, this week, Max?
For this week, it's pretty mellow. We're working on some stuff with Stephanie, which we didn't get done today, but hopefully it'll get done. And then next week, I just need to make sure everything's a certain way because I like to leave the house a certain way, but when I leave, so when I come back, it's I think one of the great things about working for yourself is your time is yours.
Yeah.
So I don't have too many things pressing. I just need to make sure everything's in order and that I don't even think anybody gets looked over next week. So
that Daquan gets to throw his party.
you know what?
Her son is probably one of the most mellow people I know. The thought of him actually throwing a party cracks me up. Like, he's not that
Let me
person.
just say this. That's so Daquan is the adult in this house.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. He is the adult. So the child is leaving. And okay. So I don't, it's like we have our set things, Daquan has his own business, so he knows I don't have to say anything to him. And I think the thing is the other day, like I ordered a food, it gets delivered, my son brings it in, I put it up, but I had to put stuff in the dishwasher yesterday. And so I said, son, I think I loaded the dishwasher, but it's just not on. I said, can you turn it on for me? Because I don't know how to turn it on. Okay. So there is an adult here, but the adult is 25. Okay.
I love it. I love it.
So it's like,
Heather, what do you got going on this week, my love?
I have all my things. I'll be live in a few hours on the old Talk app. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. I do different things every night. Tonight, I don't know. I might be doing yes and no questions tonight. Just shouting out some answers
Does he love me?
to people. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It's been a day. Jeff and I are working on some great things.
If you stay to the very end, the very, very end, I promise you, you will get a sneak peek of what's next.
well, I'm going to leave you two good Samaritans to that.
All right. I
Have
love
a
you.
great evening.
I'm
Thank you so
glad
much for
that
being on, Max.
everything is working out for you, and I hope it multiplies and triplies because my birthday's in October. Just saying.
Well,
If everything gets perfecter.
I will be on the West Coast in October, probably. So we'll have to figure out where we're going to meet up.
Well, Luther would like for you to come to Thailand.
I know Luther wants me to go to Thailand. That's probably not happening.
I want to go to Thailand.
You just have to. I don't understand why. You just have to pay for your airfare.
Yeah, my problem is that I have two dogs that I have to. I have kids. I have things.
I can pay for my dog, and you can pay for your dog.
I got it. It's still not something I can do at the moment. I am in the process of the other big thing that I can't announce yet. You know what that is.
It'll be sooner rather than later that
yes,
we'll be traveling the world. Jeff and I will be traveling the world.
But, truly,
My
like
gay husband and I.
We are going to have a great time.
Adventures.
I am excited. So definitely check out the True Awesome Network every day this week. We have really amazing shows. Tomorrow is Carol Boston at 3 p.m. for the Intuitive Entrepreneur. See Miss Heather. If you are on the Orange Dragonfly Center, you will get notifications when Miss Heather is live. So that's awesome. And stay tuned to the very end. Like literally the very end of this, you're going to get a sneak peek.
Very, very end.
Very, very
We are.
end. Have a great evening, Max.
Thanks
Enjoy your dinner.
It's been nice hanging out with you with all the lighting difficulties and blah, blah, blah. But it's been really, really nice chatting about boundaries. Now a little brown girl is hungry. Hungry.
You go eat. I love you. I'll see you guys soon.
Okay.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.